Hello, welcome to Zigmatech Learning Up. I'm your English teacher for today. So today we'll be looking at the topic titled Pronouns. Pronouns. We want to look at some specific objectives, and by the end of the lesson, students should be able to define pronouns, mention the types of pronouns, mention the personal pronouns, and finally they should be able to examine some key principles in the use of personal pronouns. Let's get started. That's definition. We said that pronouns are classified under parts of speech. The parts of speech we have in English are 8 in number, and the pronouns are one of them. They are referred to as words that are used in place of a noun or instead of a noun. Now, the essence of this is to minimize the continuous use of a noun in a sentence. Now, looking at the example we have here, we have Mr. Smith called Andrew Mr. Smith's gardener and asked Andrew to attend to Mr. Smith's children. Now, if we want to reduce the continuous use of the nouns in the sentence, we would basically have to make use of our pronouns, basically the personal pronouns and the possessive pronouns. Now we have the refined aspect of the sentence in its pronoun form. It says, Mr. Smith called Andrew, his gardener, and asked him to attend to his children. So it's important that we note that the pronouns make communication simple in English. We want to look at the types. Remember, we looked at certain objectives, and the types of pronouns will be one of them. Now we have 8 types of pronouns. You have the personal pronouns, possessive pronouns, reflexive pronouns, relative pronouns, interrogative pronouns, demonstrative, indefinite, and the reciprocal pronoun. So basically for our study today, we will be looking at the personal pronouns. And the huge question here is, what are personal pronouns? Personal pronouns are associated with persons. When we talk about personal pronouns, we refer to those pronouns that talk about persons, and they are split into 3. They are basically split into 3, and we would have a thorough analysis on all of them. Now, we have the first person pronoun, we have the second person pronoun, and we have the third person pronoun. Now, what is it about the first person pronoun? The first person pronoun refers to person or persons that that is talking or that are talking. Now they are classified into subject, personal first person pronoun, and object first person pronoun. Aside that, we also have the singular first person pronoun and the plural first person pronoun. I would like to take us back to nouns, where we are meant to understand that nouns are used singularly and plurally. So is it with pronouns, being that pronouns are used in place or instead of a noun. So when I'm talking about just one person doing something, that is the singular aspect of the personal pronoun. And when I'm talking about 2 persons or more than 2 persons doing a particular thing, that is a plural personal pronoun. So in the first person pronoun, we have just 2 examples, and those are I and we. I and we are the first person pronouns because they are the ones talking. The examples we have here are, we will visit the museum tomorrow. You can see that we is a first person pronoun referring to more than one person, and at the same time is acting as a subject of the sentence. That is the doer of the action. The we here are the people that will be going to visit the museum. The second one says, it was I who stole the book. Now, it is important that we note that when we make use of auxiliary verbs in a sentence and there is a demand for a pronoun, basically we must use the subject personal pronoun, be it on the first person, the second person, or the third person. That we would look at when we get to the principles that we must apply when making use of personal pronouns. Now we have another example saying, she will visit us. Remember, we are looking at the first person pronouns, and the 2 are I and we. So I've been able to use we as a subject, use I as a subject, and I'm going to use their objects aspects, which are us and me. Us is the object personal pronoun, first person pronoun for we, while me is the object's first person pronoun for I. So it would be automatically wrong for a scholar or a speaker to say it was me who stole the book, and in the case of she came before me, to say she came before I. We have the second person pronoun still under types of personal pronoun. The second person pronoun refers to the person being talked to. Who is being talked to? You are the one being talked to. So when we're talking about second person pronoun, we just talk about the you. You is basically the only second person pronoun that we have. It serves as the subject of the sentence and as well as the object of the sentence. Now we have sentence examples. You serving as the subject and also as the object. You are guilty of the offense. Who is guilty of the offense? You are guilty. He spoke to you. In this case, you is functioning as the object of the sentence. Lastly, under the types of personal pronoun, we have the third person pronoun. Third person pronoun stands to be the highest of all the personal pronoun types, and we have about 4 of them. Now it's important that we know that under the subject first person pronoun, we have he, she, they, and it, which act as the subject of the sentence, just like we have in the other personal pronoun types. So he, she, they, and it serve as the subject of the sentence, and whenever you have an auxiliary verb and there is a demand of a personal pronoun, make sure that you make use of your subject personal pronoun. Now let's look at these examples. He kicked her. He is the subject's personal pronoun under the third person, functioning as the doer of an action, and the receiver is her, which is the object's personal third person pronoun. We have they helped him. They is another third person pronoun as a subject, and him is the object, or under he for the third person pronoun. She kicked it. She is the subject, while it, in this case, functions as the object. But look at the fourth example. In this fourth example, we also have it, but functioning as a subject, not as the object. So likewise, where you have the you as subject and you as object, that is how it is with the it. It functions as a subject of the sentence as well as the object of the sentence. And finally, she is looking for them. Them is the object's personal pronoun for they, while, like we said, him is the sub-object personal pronoun for he. Now let's look at these key principles in the use of personal pronouns. Are there really key principles? Yes, there are. Now we must understand one certain thing, and that is the fact that conversationally we make use of pronouns the way we wish, basically because we want to pass across information. Language, they say, is for communication purposes. And be that as it may, it would be wrong for a scholar who is under an exam condition to make use of the wrong personal pronouns when writing. Remember, when writing, you're being judged not only on your ability to speak, but your ability to write perfectly. Now, looking at the conventional rule, number 1 says that personal pronouns such as I, we, he, she, they, you, and it serve as subjects of the sentence. What do we mean by serving as the subject of the sentence? They are the doers of the action. They have to kick off the sentence structure where you do not wish to use your noun, you use your pronoun. They have to start off with the subject's personal pronouns. I love you, he loves me, she hates me, they are wonderful, you are good, it can fly. These are areas where the personal pronoun subject aspects are used as doers of the action other than the receiver. Now, number 2 says the above mentioned personal pronouns also are used before an auxiliary verb. Now, what are auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary verbs are referred to as helping verbs. They are those verbs that help certain verbs that cannot stand on their own to stand. And as such, when we take notice of them in sentences and there is a demand for us to use our personal pronoun, you must not forget this rule, that the subject personal pronoun must be used. Now, maybe someone would be asking, what are these auxiliary verbs? Is your auxiliary verb, was is your auxiliary verb, am is an auxiliary verb, are auxiliary verb, were auxiliary verb, etc. Now, let's look at the sentences. Sentence number 1 says, it was I who stole the book, not she. Now, if you would agree with me, conversational English would say, it was me who stole the book, not her. Conversationally, I said, it's okay because understanding has been made perfect. But when you are writing and you want that examiner to give you a perfect score for your write-up, you must use your pronouns accurately. And once you have your auxiliary verb or in your writing, you realize that you're making use of your auxiliary verb and there is a need for the pronoun type, please do well to use your subject personal pronoun. Now, number 2 point says personal pronouns such as me, him, her, them, you, and it serve as object of the sentence. They serve as object of the sentence. What do I mean by object of the sentence? By object of the sentence, we mean that they receive an action. When an action is done by someone, somebody receives it. So whoever that receives the action is referred to as the object. Now, it would be wrong for me to say, she kicked he, because somebody is receiving the action. And who is receiving the action? A male. So I have to go for a masculine personal pronoun object, which is him. So it becomes, she kicked him. That means him is the one receiving the action. Principle number 3 says the above object personal pronouns are used also as object of a preposition. Pardon the D that was omitted. Used as object of a preposition. Now look at the example. She is above me in class. It would be wrong to say she is above I. It would be wrong to say she's above us, above me. But we can say she's above me in class. Why? Because we have a preposition above. That's a rule. Now once you have a preposition and the next choice of word is a pronoun, then you must adopt your object personal pronoun, be it the first person, the second person, or the third person. Now another example says, he promised to stand in for me. For is a preposition and as such would demand an object personal pronoun. Subject personal pronouns are used when comparing two or more persons. Very, very important. So many times we see people make such mistake as, I am better than her. That is wrong. So when you are comparing yourself with some other person, use subject personal pronoun. You use a subject personal pronoun when you are comparing. Then this is our table showing the personal pronoun. Now we have the subject singular, we have the object singular, we have subject plural, and we have object plural. The first person, I, is a subject, me is the object, we as the subject plural, us as object plural. Then we have the second person, you, all through for second person. And the third person, we have he, she, it as subject singular, and the object singulars are him, her, and it. Finally, you have the subject plural, they, and object plural, them. It is important for us to note that it can serve as an impersonal pronoun, though referred to as personal pronoun type. Now we have come to the end of the class, and I would like to test your knowledge on what I have taught so far. This is a task for you. With your knowledge of the personal pronoun types, I would like that you attempt this question. When next we meet, we would discuss the answers and see how far we've been able to go with it. Thank you so much. Until we meet next time. Bye for now.